T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. Nice to see you, boys. You know, I was just leafing through my church bulletin again this week and came across this. The Peacemaking Guild meeting scheduled for tonight has been canceled due to conflict. No, sir, you cannot make this stuff up. I tell you that. Okay, so can you hear that train a-coming? It's rolling down the track. We're less than 2 months from the start of the NFL season. And on this episode, we profile the AFC North, El Norte, as they might say. But first, Northwestern fires longtime football coach Pat Fitzgerald in the wake of hazing allegations. He wasn't just the head coach. He was the most decorated player in the team's modern era, brought some winning to the hapless Wildcats. He was the face of the place. Players are now left in limbo. They have a 30-day window to transfer or stay at Northwestern. And get this, Fitzgerald's own son is on the roster as a tight end. So, fellas, where do you want to start with this thing about Pat Fitzgerald? Lugs.
Well, it's a sad day, but it's, I can't say that it's shocking that this was going on with those younger players. But, you know, you had the stuff with New Mexico State, those guys, and I think there's just no way around it. Fitzgerald had to know that this was going on. I mean, he came up through the system. I don't think that this is stuff that just started the past few seasons. I think this is part of the culture that was and is Northwestern. It's a sad moment for the school, and now apparently the baseball coach is under scrutiny for being too brutal as well. So I feel for all those guys, but I'm not shocked by it. I'm not shocked by it at all.
T-Dog.
You know, it's kind of like what Lug said. I'm not. It feels like he had to know and turned a blind eye. But even if that isn't the scenario, he was incredibly negligent not to be aware of. And the part where I think he knew about it, I'm not saying there isn't a case where they took one of his actions and made it part of their hazing, because I'm not going to get into nitty gritty about what the hazing was a lot, but one of the keys was to indicate who should get hazed after situations on the field is a player who was a part of, you know, the hazer to the hazee. They would put their hands above their head and clap to indicate afterwards this person would get run, essentially. You know, the saddest thing is I have no tears for the university, because the university situation's even worse, is because the allegations were initially brought up in November, and then the university launched an external investigation in January, right after the Northwestern season, because no one's paying attention to Northwestern football in January. And then on July 7th, a Friday, they essentially info dumped that they were going to suspend him for 2 weeks in the middle of the summer when nothing's going on with college football. When that happened, the whistleblower went to the Daily Northwestern, the student paper, and gave all the gory details, because Northwestern is a private school institution, they don't have to make all the documents of the external investigation public. They could just sanitize it into like 2 pieces of paper and submit it to people to see. No, the whistleblower went to the student paper, and the student paper released all the gory details. And I'm not going to get into it. I will just say, after it, though, there will be no endorsement deals with DreamWorks or Gatorade with Northwestern for the foreseeable future, and I'll leave it at that. And then, shockingly, So that was on a Saturday, the day after they said they were going to just suspend him for 2 days. Then the Monday, so 2 days later, after the paper released that report, he was fired, Fitzgerald. So, like I said, I don't feel any tears for Northwestern. They essentially felt like they were going to cover up, sweep under the rug, because they had this $800 million stadium that they're trying to get built.
Right.
And obviously, his success, I know he hasn't had the last few years, his success was paramount to like them keeping momentum going so that they could get the money to make that $800 million. And that's what they were worried about, I think. So
Money talks, money walks. Also, I mean, the buck stops somewhere, right? We remember famously Rick Pitino had no knowledge of what happened in dormitories, but the head coach is the head coach and he has to know. Lugs?
Oh, I agree with that totally. And most of these head coaches are micromanagers, and other assistant coaches, they would have had to have known, and I'm sure they would have told him what was going on just to protect themselves, if nothing else. It's just sad, but I think it was all appropriate. Now, I don't know what happens after this with those players who say that they were essentially molested. Will there be lawsuits? I would say yes, there will be. And all of this they'll have to come up with more than $800 million for a stadium. They're going to have to come up with all of this money for all those guys. And if you go back the years and all of that, wow, it could just wipe them out completely.
Indeed. Time will tell. We'll find out more in the months to come on the Northwestern saga. In the meantime, let's move on to some good news and something we're looking forward to. It's predictions for the coming NFL season. And this week we do the AFC North. This is maybe one of the more highly anticipated years ahead. I think, so many think. Last year, this is how it stacked up. The Bengals were 12-4, Ravens 10-7, Steelers 9-8, and the Browns respectable at 7-10. So, fellas, this was a tight division. Where do you want to start with this one at number 4? Lugs.
Well, I still don't have a lot of faith in Cleveland, so I'm putting them at number 4. It's all on Deshaun Watson. He's going to have to earn his guaranteed money. Now, he does have help. He has a real good offense with Amari Cooper, Njoku, and Nick Chubb. So that's a good start for him. And they have a good defense. But overall, I just don't think you can lay off as much as he did 2 years and come back and be who he was in his prime time in the Texans. So we'll see what happens, but I'm saying Cleveland in 4th place at 8-9. That's 8-9.
8-9. T-Dog, can you top that, or do you have a different idea for the 4th place position?
No, not making the podium. I agree with Lugs. It's the Cleveland Browns. And to be fair to your point, J-Boy, I honestly could see a scenario happening with pretty much any of these teams making the playoffs. This is, I think, maybe the only division I can think of where I truly believe any of these teams can make the playoffs. Just there are a decent amount of ifs that have to go the right way for the Cleveland Browns, but when you see like the roster, when you see elements of the coaching staff, I think it is a real possibility. Just because I believe Deshaun Watson will be motivated after having such an uninspiring year last year. To kind of Lugs' point, do I see him becoming the quasi-MVP quarterback that he was in 2020? I don't know if that guy ever comes back. But I like what Lugs said, you know, he has some good receivers. Amari Cooper, I don't know if he's a true number 1, but he's definitely a very good wide receiver. Elijah Moore, who they traded for, you know, he never got to show anything for the Jets, but that's more so the Jets didn't have a quarterback. I think he has the talent to be a very good wide receiver. They have Njoku, but they also added Jordan Akins, who Watson played with in Houston, so that gives them 2 big bodies off the line. Chubb quietly is on his way to being a Hall of Famer, it feels like. And one of the underrated hirings, I know we already talked about Vic Fangio, but another defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, was brought in for the Cleveland. They had some problems with personnel on defense, particularly a defensive tackle. But a lot of it was too their defense. I think it was held back by their coaching a lot. And I think Jim Schwartz will get Myles Garrett and their free agent signing of Zadarius Smith. I think that those guys will have like a spike in the pass rush, which was middle of the road. And then the biggest signing in terms of a player, I think, was free agents and Davlin Tomlinson from the Minnesota Vikings. That big guy, he's going to fill their biggest problem, which they just got ran on all the time last year. He's, I believe, 325 pounds listed. I believe he's a little heavier than that. He's going to clog a lot of running lanes. And also they drafted, I believe, 3 defensive tackles. So, like, they're going to have waves of guys to rotate in to really kind of stop that run. And this is the thing. This is why this division is so hard. Their secondary is their strength. I think I had that as their strength last year. Denzel Ward, one of the best corners in the league. And then the 2 young corners after it, Gary Newsome, Northwestern guy, and Martin Emerson, they helped make them one of the best trios in the league. And then Grant Delpit, the safety, he broke out last year with 105 tackles, 4 interceptions, 10 pass defenses. And then they added the free agent Juwan Thornhill from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's won 2 Super Bowls with them, so it gives them a young leader who's had deep playoff runs and knows how to play under pressure. This is where they get in 4th place for me. And I'm not saying they don't have other weaknesses, but their linebackers, their top 3 linebackers started 21 games last year combined. Anthony Walker is returning from a torn quadricep tendon. Senan Tataki is returning from a torn ACL. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is returning from a foot injury. That's why I have them going 7-10.
7-10. Okay, good job on the Browns. So I've been looking at some over and unders on all these teams in this division, and what I've seen is the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns are all kind of put at about an 8.5 win. So I'm going, what? But I'm with you guys. I'm going Browns, 4th place. Too many question marks. I like the Schwartz hiring. I like Kevin Stefanski as a coach. I think he came out real strong when he first got hired by the Browns. But we're back to that quarterback, and I'm with you guys. I don't think he can come back. I don't think he's the guy. I think there's way too much pressure. I think there's way too much history on the Browns to really perform and get back to some semblance of order. So I, too, am going Browns in 4th place, and I think it's a clean sweep. Oh, nope. T-Dog and I agree. 7-10 on the Browns for me as well. So there you go. We're even on that one. Browns. Browns. Okay, 3rd place, Lugs, in the AFC North. What do you like there?
I've got the Steelers.
Yes, sir.
It's the 2nd year for Kenny Pickett, and they can open it up. And they've added Allen Robinson, a wide receiver, which should help him out. Najee Harris was a good running back last year. They've improved their offensive line. Plus, T.J. Watt should be healthy again, hopefully, because once he came back from some serious injuries, they won virtually every game he played in. So Tomlin has never had a losing season. I got to give that, especially last year, considering the hurdles they had in front of them. But still, I'm giving the Pittsburgh guys, I'm calling 9-8. 9-8 for the season.
Thank you, Lugs. T-Dog, how do you like that?
Yeah, the bronze for me is also the Pittsburgh. I guess to be glass half full first, I think Kenny Pickett does take another step forward from last year. I think he played a lot better than what I thought he would be as a rookie. But I just still feel this Matt Canada offense is not going to allow him to take a leap. I think he'll make some progress, but not an exceptional one. They invested a lot in their offensive line, but I just think it's going to take some time to gel. I'm not saying they won't maybe become something in the back half of the season, but I just think they have so many moving parts that they're going to have some leaks early on. I kind of agree with Luggs. I know he's been kind of down his last year with Chicago, and then he didn't do a whole lot with the Rams. But I think Allen Robinson, it feels like they've moved him into being a big slot receiver and just playing out of the slot. I think his career will be rejuvenated, just kind of like the last few years of Larry Fitzgerald in that spot. Deontay Johnson, he had such a funky year last year. I think he'll rebound. I think he's a talented player. He showed it years prior. And George Pickens showed flashes that he could be a star. So there you go with that. Najee Harris early on was banged up with his foot. And then by the end, once he got right, that's also coincided with TJ Watt getting healthy. Like their running game was a big part of it. And they found a steal in Jalen Warren last year. So I think those two guys running the ball will be the focal point of the offense. And I think with the pressure that front seven will be able to generate with that running attack, they're going to be a tough out. And again, just to reverberate what Lugg said, Tomlin is going to keep this team above 500. I just think, unfortunately, they have the least proven quarterback of the four teams in this division, and he also has the lowest ceiling of the possibilities of the other quarterbacks in this. The linebackers are the strength of this team because, again, TJ Watt, he will be one of the top pass rushers again. And even though it was a down year for him, a big silver lining last year was Alex Highsmith really emerged last year. He's had 20 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and 27 tackles for loss over the last 2 years. And then they have some key pickups in their interior pass, and in terms of their interior linebackers. Cole Holcomb from the Commanders was a great pickup because he's just fast and he's their interior tackle who just covers a lot of ground. And then they brought in a Landon Roberts, who's just essentially an interior thumper to really help them plug the run. And Minkah Fitzpatrick is awesome in their secondary, but their weakness is the secondary because they brought in free agent Keanu Neal, who started 13 games in the last 2 seasons. Patrick Peterson from Minnesota Vikings played great last year, but he's 33 years old, which is always dicey. And Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a rookie. So I have them also, like Luggs, going 9-8.
9-8 for the Steel Curtain. Okay, well, to make this unanimous, I'm going the same at 9-8 as well, and here's why. I do like Tomlin, of course. He's the he's the veteran of all coaches in the NFL by now. I'm sure he is.
Belichick.
Belichick. Forgot about how could I forget about the hoodie, for crying out loud. But I do like the defensive. I like the improvements. Cam Hayward, you mentioned Patrick Peterson. I think he's still got some gas in the tank. Kenny Pickett, I agree with you both. He'll come back. Come alive more and become more of a real seasoned player. But this is just a tough division to win games within the division as well. I, too, have them 9-8, and we'll just see how that shakes out. So now, second place, Luggs. You can do something different, or what's your choice for second place in the AFC North?
Oh, I got to go with the Ravens. They finally got the contract done with Lamar. So that's not the big deal that, everybody's talking about.
Right.
They've also added Odell Beckham Jr. And their pick, Zay Flowers. He's a fine receiver, too. I don't know, Odell, what he's got left, but he will be a calming, stabilizing influence in the receiver room for sure. So with that, basically, I would say Lamar should have a great year. Let's hope that stigma from usually when quarterbacks sign the big contract, they get a little happy feet. But I don't think Lamar will. I think that he really wants to play this game and he wants to be an MVP again. So, and their defense, once last year they got Roquan Smith, basically he shored up that defense. The defense is good. I think if you look at it overall, I would have to say this may be the best Ravens team on paper before we play the season at all since 2013 when they won the Super Bowl. So it'll be fun to watch. It's going to be a good season in the AFC North.
T-Dog. Oh, wait, Luggs, what record do you give them?
I've got 11-6. They're 11-6.
Check. All right. Wow. T-Dog.
I also in a silver place, I have Baltimore Ravens. The first thing I want to start off with is I love the hiring of Todd Monken, just because I'm not going to say it might not flame out. There's a chance, but it just gives Lamar a chance to take that next step. It's not that Greg Roman's offense didn't really help him. Obviously, that offense was the one that allowed him to win the MVP in 2019, but it just became stagnant. And a lot of it also, too, is poor roster construction. But, you add this new offense that's going to be more balanced, definitely more pass happy with Beckham, who, like Lug says, I don't think he's ever going to be the Beckham of old again, but I still think he has some juice. He's going to be, I think, good veteran presence for Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and you still have Mark Andrews possibly, if you want to make a call that he's the second best tight end in the league, or at least in the top three. They have a great receiving core, and this guy's in a contract year. I think J.K. Dobbins has a chance to really explode out of this backfield. He showed in the back half of the season where he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. They lost a lot of upfront juice on their defense. Their two best pass rushers, Justin Houston, who I know is long in the tooth but still has some juice. He's still out there as a free agent, and they lost Calais Campbell in free agency. Those were their two best pass rushers. And I think this new offense will have some hiccups that'll greatly contribute to, some up and down early on. But luckily, their strength is their quarterback. I know Lamar's missed the last 11 games in the last 2 years, but there's a reason why he got that huge contract. He's the most dynamic quarterback in the league. He led the league, his team in rushing for the 4th year in a row. He's completed close to 64% of his passes for his career, despite his best wide receiver being Hollywood Brown. The new offense will allow him to throw more, and I just think the receiver core is easily the best one he's had on paper in our season. Again, kind of going back to what I said a little earlier, though, their defensive line, without Justin Houston, without Calais Campbell, Justin Mabuke, he's shown promise to tackle, but you look at the rest of the guys, they're either green or gray. They're either young or they're really old. Second-year tackle Travis Jones has to step up. Broderick Washington, and Michael Pierce, they eat up running lanes, but I don't think they give them a lot of pressure. Because of that, I have them going 10-7. But they will make the playoffs.
The Ravens, second place at 10-7. All right, let the hate mail start. I've got the Bengals in second place in the AFC North, and here's why.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw that hat in the ring, whatever that's worth. I think some of the magic is going to wear off. I know Joe Burrow and team, and I think they had some big games, and they got some magic that happened for them over the past couple of years, and never in the franchise's history have they won a division 3 years in a row. So I'm just going to kind of throw that out there. I've got some season ticket friends. A friend of the show, Lugs, Joey Bowman holds some tickets. He'll be hating me from now on. But I got them second at 10-7. And that leaves only one team to win that division, and I'll talk more about that later. But just saying the magic is over, the shine is off the the bloom is off the rose, all those expressions. I think the magic man, Joe Burrow, I don't know. I'm just going to say, not feeling it this year. Thanks for your time. Next time, have a good 10-7 year.
Oh, well.
All right. Go ahead, Lugs. You got it.
The shine may be off of the bald head or whatever, but let me just say some names.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, even Joe Mixon.
Who you never liked before. You hated that guy, man. Come on.
But he can give you 3 yards in a cloud of dust when you need it.
Yeah, third down guy.
It's one of those things where I'm sorry, Joe Burrow, man, to me, he is second only to Mahomes. So, last year he got more than 4,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns with only 12 interceptions. I mean, geez, what more do you want from a guy? Their defense is a group of, these are your no-name guys that just show up and play hard. I think it's due in part to their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. I'm telling you that they're going to be tough again. They are. I've got them going 12-5. I don't think they will beat Kansas City in Kansas City this year. Mahomes will tear off one of his legs if they do, but they will have themselves a very, very competitive season.
T-Dog, he's got him at 12-5. How high are you stacking that deck? Go ahead.
Well, first off, as a disclaimer, I just want to say, J-Boy, you're still on the Joe Burrow bandwagon, but you're at the back now.
Yeah.
So,
we formed the fan club. I just took a back seat. I'm in the.
Yeah, you can get back up maybe eventually, but right now, just to cool you down a little bit.
Little controversy. Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah.
But speaking of their strength, like the Ravens, it's their quarterback, and like Lug said, I have Joe Burrow as one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the league now. For his career, he's completed 68% of his passes. He's 82 touchdowns and 31 interceptions. He's won 2 AFC North titles. He's had 2 deep runs in the playoffs. His strengths are his consistency from game to game and his quick decision-making, particularly post-snap. And he'll always have the Bengals in the hunt every year, unless he gets injured. I mean, he's always going to have them in the. And even though I'm going to say this is their weakness, I think they can be good. It's just that they're green in a lot of spots in their secondary. Mike Hilton, their nickel, is awesome. He's one of the best. If there was a Pro Bowl spot for nickel corners, Mike Hilton might have been a Pro Bowler last year, and legit, not all the guys decided not to go, and he would have been one of the top nickel guys. Chidobe Awuzie, he was on his way to having his best year, but he tore his ACL, so I just don't know what he's going to be this year. To act like a corner is just going to bounce back from ACL is kind of just ridiculous to think that. And they have 2 guys who were rookies last year. They're really going to have to step up. Cam Taylor, Britt, showed a lot of promise as a corner last year, but he's still only, I believe, started 11 to 12 games. And the same goes for Daxton Hill, who's going to have to really step up in the back half of their secondary. But the main thing is this, why they're going to win the division. This team found its identity last year after that loss to the Browns. Bengals start primarily playing out of the shotgun just to allow Burrow to see the defense better. And they allowed 41 sacks for the year. And it's funny, that Browns game was essentially game 8. And, I know the Buffalo game got cut off. So it was literally almost down the middle. It wasn't so through the first 8 games, the Bengals allowed 29 sacks. Once they switched the offense, where it was primarily shotgun, they allowed 12 sacks. And to put it over the top 2, after that loss to the Browns, they didn't lose until the AFC Championship game. They won every game. And they were going to win that Buffalo game. I know we can't really get into it, but they were going to win that Buffalo game. Lou Anarumo, how he didn't get that Arizona Cardinals job, I don't get it. I'm not saying Gannon can't be a good coach, but what he did to Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, and then you saw what Gannon did to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, where Patrick Mahomes doing everything he wanted. How you then decide to go with Rich Gannon, I don't get it. But he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. He just knows how to slow down some of the top tier quarterbacks like Mahomes. We saw it also with Josh Allen in the playoffs too, with always making them guess. And then Lugs also hit it. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They put stress on the secondary with their speed, their size, and their execution. They should always face light boxes. So Mixon, should be able to get some yardage. And also free agent acquisition Orlando Brown. I'm not going to say he's going to be a star at left tackle, but I think he's a clear upgrade over Jonah Williams, and that might be enough to make Burrow an MVP this year. I have him going 12-5, winning the division.
All right, 12-5 for the Bengals winning the division. Well, that leaves me to wear the collar here, I believe. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. I think the division's a squeaker. And I think Lug said it best. It's the quarterback, man. It's the quarterback. And I think Lamar has the monkey off his back, the playoff monkey, the contract monkey, his mom monkey, trying to negotiate the contract, whatever that was all about. And he's back. And I think he's going to have all that behind him. You guys mentioned all the superlatives about the Ravens before. And I think the Bengals, like I said, this is a squeaker. It's going to be like one win here, one win there, one loss, and they're going to go back and forth. And that's why I have them just squeaking in, winning the division with 11-6, and just one game above the Bengals. The Ravens win the AFC East. or excuse me, AFC North. They could probably win the East too, but we'll give them the AFC North, and we'll just kind of tear that prediction up and hope it comes true. All right, so that's your AFC North for 2023-24. Any other thoughts on that, fellas?
No, other than Lou Anarumo,
Yes.
I'm glad he didn't go to Arizona, because that's going to be a mess for 10 years at least.
You're
So,
right.
after this season, Lou can get himself a good job probably. I'm saying, get ready, boys. I'm saying New England. I'm saying the hoodie's going to retire after this season.
Wow, bold prediction there.
Wow. Yeah, that adds into the predictions. Yeah, definitely. I like that one.
But can a guy with the last name of Anarumo, can he get a decent plate of pasta in Boston?
You'd hope so, right?
The South End, I guess, Southie.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
That's that place, isn't it? Yeah.
well, Simeone's is the Boston Italian place, if you're ever up there. Simeone's.
Okay. I'll write that down.
Worth noting.
And I only know that because that was the only Italian restaurant I ever went to in Boston. So there you are.
A vote of one confident vote. Wow. Okay, let's, what else? T-Dog.
I was just going to say, I just want to echo what you said, J-Boy. Anyone who gets mad at us, I kind of agree with you. Like, I can see the Ravens winning this. Like I said, I can even see who we had in the 4th spot. Cleveland has enough good parts, and I like Stefanski too. I like, like I said, I like the hiring of Schwartz. I can see them, if Watson becomes 2020 Watson, they can win the division. I mean, they can. I think the one that I have problems with, I can see the Steelers making the playoffs as a wild card. I just don't think Kenny Pickett's in the same breath as those other 3 guys. What we've seen, the ceiling on what the other 3 guys can be. I don't think Kenny Pickett, I mean, I hate to be mean, I don't think he ever is going to reach the heights of any of those 3 guys. I think he'd be good, and particularly with TJ Watt and what Highsmith did last year, their pass rush might be so ferocious that they could just lean on that pass rush and that running game and make it good. But I think it's easily the most the fun, where I think all the teams are good. AFC East is very good, but I just think the Patriots, I just think they're weaker than any of these 4 teams. So I think the North's better than the East.
And maybe Kenny Pickett will have, as Jim Nantz would say, hello, friends. He would say one shining moment. He might have one or 2 of those in the season, and we'll say, hey, the kid's got a chance in 2024, 25.
I wouldn't bet on that. I think of Kenny Pickett as Jared Goff with a different hairdo.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Jared Goff's had a great career, and like I said, I mean, I hate to really kind of pass the problems to someone else. I think if they get like a legitimately good offensive coordinator next season after Matt Canada gets the heave-ho, like we could maybe see something cook. That's all I'll say on that.
Well, they need themselves a couple of running backs too. So.
Well, there you go again. Okay, Lugs, do you want to do a little sports of yesteryear, and we'll get going on this?
Sure.
Here comes the big open.
Repeat.
Oh, he's stalling. Okay, he's not quite ready, but we'll do it anyway. He's our man in the street, our man in the air, our man everywhere. He's Lugs, and he's in his Camaro. Go ahead, Lugs, go ahead.
All right. Let's go with 1921. The then Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians, and the New York Yankees combined for an American League record of 16 doubles. That's 16 doubles in one game. Get ready, all you Finnish people. 1926, Pablo Nurmi, known as the Flying Finn, walks world record 4 by 1,500 meters in 16 minutes and 26 seconds. I don't know why he walked it, but he did. 1937, the British Broadcasting Corporation, that's the BBC, televised the first tennis match from the championships at Wimbledon. That was in 1937. It was like very, very low res, I'm sure. 1959, NBC uses cameras to show catcher's signals for the first time during a Yankee-Red Sox game. Nasty. Up next, a perennial favorite on Sports of Yesteryear in 1979. disco demolition night at Comiskey Park, Chicago. Fans went wild, destroying records, parts of the field, and it forced the White Sox to forfeit the second game of the doubleheader with the Detroit Tigers. And finally, as if he didn't need more money, 1996, Michael Jordan signed a one-year NBA contract with the Bulls for $30 million and promptly probably lost it all playing poker. Who knows? But that's it for this edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
Thank you, Lugs. Okay, I got a quick question about the disco demolition. What date was that again?
It was in 1979.
Ooh, the height of disco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a disc jockey named Steve Dahl, a rock and roll DJ from one of the FM stations in Chicago. Right.
Well, and I think they blew out a major hole at second base when they blew those up, and I remember seeing that footage. It was nuts.
People running all over the place because they didn't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was, it was kind of like when they had free beer night at the Brewers and then locked all the bathrooms.
Yeah, or...
So it got out of control real quick. Sorry, I got to give credit to Bob Uecker. That was one of Bob Uecker's jokes.
Yeah, it was. Also,
partial sellout.
Yeah.
You know.
Cleveland had a free beer night, and on the same night they gave out souvenir bats.
Nice.
That was not a good idea. You can imagine where most of them wound up on the field. That too may be a forfeit. We might have to look that up. Get our crack team to check that out. All right. Anything else tonight, fellas?
I was just going to say, to tie a bow on the AFC North, looking back into the past in 2022 predictions.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Yes, please.
No, it's all right. So I guess to just go through in terms of records, Lugs had the Ravens going 10-7. I had them going 11-6. Lugs, right on the point. They were 10-7.
Woohoo!
Yep.
1 point
now
for you.
Lugs was, if you remember, J-Boy, Lugs was very dubious on the Bengals last year. He had them going 9-8.
Yeah, he hated them. He still does,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, he still hates them.
I had him going 12-5.
Ooh.
They went 12-4.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So,
technicality, right?
Yeah.
Act
Lugs
of
had
God, I think we call it. Act of God in your insurance clause. It's all good.
Lugs, believing in Jacoby Brissett as much as Joe Burrow, he had them also going 9-8. I had them going 6-11. They went 7-10.
What?
Lugs had the Steelers going 8-9. I had them going 9-8. They went 9-8. Lugs had them winning the division. I had the Bengals winning it. The Bengals won it. Also predict the Ravens would make the playoffs. Obviously, Lugs did too, so we got those right. And thought defensive coordinator for the Ravens, Mike McDonald, would have been the difference maker. They finished the season as a top 10 defense. Predicted that Jermaine Pratt wouldn't get re-signed by the Bengals. He got $20 million, 3-year contract with Cincy. Predicted Deontay Johnson wouldn't re-sign with Pittsburgh. Got a $36 million 2-year with the Steelers before the season even began. But the best one, we got to give it up because it was a wild-ass prediction. J-Boy predicted that Chase Daniels would start one game for one of these four teams. He did not.
He did not. Where is our boy Chase this year? Do we know?
I don't know.
We got to look him up. He's somewhere making a cool $10 million a year just sitting around, right?
Yeah.
And he's probably a little more stocky than before because he's probably had a little bit more to eat.
Eating all those sunflower seeds.
Ooh,
I don't know.
He wears a nice beard, though. All right, one more thing I want to add today. The New York Yankees are introducing a sponsor patch to their uniforms, becoming the 13th MLB team to do so this year. Star Insurance, never heard of them, is the sponsor. So for the first time in forever, the pampered pinstripes, the unis, will have an altered look with a patch on the sleeve. This is new to baseball and American sports, but fellas, not worldwide. How are you feeling about the pinstripes not being so pinny anymore? Lugs.
Sign of the times, I would say. They've got to figure out ways to put some coins in the basket because they've outlaid an amazing amount of money for players, and it's not paying off for them. They're, fourth place, whatever.
Yeah, 8 games
So-
out. Yep, at the All-Star break. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm not shocked by it. I don't think anybody is anymore. I mean, hopefully it won't get like stock car uniforms where I'm not sure if it's the quilt or,
Yeah.
a uniform. So,
What do you think, T-Dog? I mean, soccer's had this forever, worldwide.
Yes.
Whatever on the front, right? Right, as looks
Yeah.
like the team name.
Yeah, unfortunately in MLS, I believe it's a bread company. I forget what team had it. They had on the front of their jerseys Bimbo. It's a bread company, but they had the word Bimbo on the front of all their jerseys.
I'm not touching that one. Nope.
Yeah, but anyway, and also we've seen it in the NBA for a few years too. So kind of like what Lug says. I mean, do you hate to see, just from an aesthetic standpoint, it change? Yeah, but is it something to get really kind of torn up about? No, because it's just the way everything's going. I'm with him. I hope it doesn't become where it's like his last name is Zenith. And they're like, no. Well, that's where his name should be. It's like, no, they start using like ads to be their numbers. Like they just have,
Yep.
or something like that. But like, that's where it gets absurd. But it's been a part of the culture of sports for a while, and it's just kind of perpetuating out. So like I said, the NFL will get it someday too, but look, they've already had some of those disgusting, like just color rush jerseys where they were single color.
Yeah.
They can't get that much worse than that. So
True.
I'm okay with it.
The highlight marker yellow or green on the Seahawks, for instance. Yeah. No, I'm okay with it. It's a sign of the times, and it gives me something to rub a friend of the show, Roger Taylor, with, who's a big Yankee fan. The pristine Yankee pinstripe just got slightly flawed. All right, that'll bring to a close this episode of Sports and Other Stuff. We're brought to you in part by each and every week by this sponsor, Swendella Bread. Speaking of bread, not Bimbo, but Swendella. At 3 in the morning when you're in bed, Swendella bakers are baking bread, and that's the reason it tastes so good. Like oven-fresh Swendella should. We know the chief baker there, or beaker. He's there now. What's his name?
that would be Fish.
Okay.
This week, in 1976, the television game show Family Feud debuted on ABC. To mark this momentous event, Fish will assume host duties for an afternoon. To enter your family in this unauthorized trip down memory lane, register at nowayjose.com. That's nowayjose.com. Family names will be drawn at random or simply made up. That's 1 p.m. this Saturday. Admission is $10 in honor of Richard Dawson. Give us a kiss, Richie.
Thanks, Lug. I knew Fish back in 1976. Does that help? Maybe I can get in for free. We'll see. This has been the Sport Weasels, Sports and Other Stuff. We'll see you next time. See you. So long. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.